distribution is still sparse. Coming to the factors influencing the Indian social distribution, in the current scenario, based on both the data set, we see that evergreen forest influences the distribution of this bird, and along with the temperature in warmest quarter and temperature seasonality. In future, we see the temperature factor which is seasonality and the temperature in warmest quarter major factors affecting the distribution of the bird. So, as Indian sugar is known to be above canopy foragers, I mean the disturbance to the evergreen forest will actually affect their presence in any part of Western Ghats. In future, many studies have focused on in southern Western Ghats, specifically the species which are specialized in their diet, will change the will change their niche because of the climate change happening in this region. So we use the center to understand the predicted range of the species, and we see that the predicted range of the species is mostly in the southern western Ghats of India, and the result of the center is supported by the results of the species distribution model too. So yes, it can be concluded that the major suitable habitats and the range of the species will be majorly in the southern western Ghats of India. Population status of Indian children. So, Burnt Island and Bengal are the largest breeding colony of this world. Along with the island is also one of the British colony, and because this study was conducted from 2021 to this year, so we see a slight decline in population, and we are trying to figure out why this decline has taken place. But as of now, we anticipate that which came in 2021, which was Nisarga and Fountain, must of the population. There have been a lot of such incidences where student populations have been affected by cyclone. So, coming to the conservation requirements of the species, so as we've seen that the overall distribution in northern Western Ghats is declining, and hence other efforts are required to preserve the foraging areas in Sindhu, especially the evergreen forest patches. To protect the breeding habitats in Mangula also Sindhu, it's very important to control the tourism around the islands as tourism is increasing day by day. So we see that long-term and continuous monitoring of the student population and habitats are required in this region. Keeping in mind that the climate change is negatively affecting the species, it is also very important to explore to conservation strategies in the region. As part of this, we also an awareness program. We've got lots of news coverage, and two of the documentaries are going to be launched soon. One is already released, and around us will be launching it soon. I would like to thank everyone who's been part of this study and contribute to the study in any way. Thank you so much. This is one of the video which I have recorded during my PhD data collection. So yeah, so this is just to give you all the details of how Indian switchlets use timeline. So thank you again. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dhanusha. Now, the next presenter is Dr. Babu Rao. The topic of his presentation is power lines and birds, recommendations for anti-collision measures with respect to Thani Green Flamingo Sanctuary, Mumbai, Maharashtra.
Dr. Baburao hails from Hyderabad, Telangana, an MSc in Wildlife Biology and PhD in Ornithology. He is currently working with the EIA division of SACON as Senior Research Fellow in the project on bird diagnostics.
Good morning, everyone. I think my slides are visible.
Slides.
Yes. Shall I start?
You may start.
Yes, okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm Babu Rao. Today, we will talk about a recently completed short-term project in Mumbai, which was funded by Tata Power Limited. My today's presentation title is Power Lines and Boards, Recommendations for Anti-Pollution Measures with respect to Thane Picnic Sanction. Coming to the background, power lines and associated infrastructure have significant negative effect on roads through electrocution and pollution. The severity of these problems was realized mostly after 1970. The impacts of power lines was also observed in several threatened bird species in India, but most of the studies were restricted to Rajasthan and Gujarat. The impacts of power lines in many other Indian states are not clearly known. To mitigate the bird collisions with power lines, there are several ideas have been proposed. One of the idea is that the increasing the line visibility to the birds by installing bird flight diverters. The installation of bird flight diverters mitigated most of the bird collisions around the board. So the bird flight diverters are broadly categorized into two types: passive bird flight diverters and active bird flight diverters. The passive bird flight diverters have no motion, for example, spirals. The active bird flight diverters have an ability to move by the wind. The firefly bird diverters and bird mark flappers are the few examples for the active bird flight diverters. Coming to the present study side, the Kopali Manpur and Kopali Chembur transmission lines passing over the Thane Creek. These two transmission lines are about 100 years old and significantly corroded. Therefore, the Tata Power decided to replace these two transmission lines in the Thane Creek. The Thane Creek holds huge congregation of waterfowl population. In the slide, in the bottom image, you can see the massive congregation of flamingos in the Thane Creek. Therefore, it is believed that the existing and establishment of new transmission lines pose greater threat to the bird populations in the area. So, while approving the proposal submitted by the Tata Power to the ministry for the clearance, the Tata Power the ministry directed Tata Power to engage with the Sarkar to get the assistance in installation of suitable biodiverters to minimize the impacts of power lines in Thane. Uh, This study had two objectives. One was to document the avifauna around the transmission lines, and the second one was to monitor the flight activity and pollution risk, and to recommend suitable bird areas to minimize the bird pollution. Coming to the study site, Tamil is located in densely populated urban city, Mumbai. This was declared as Flamingo Sanctuary in 2015 and Ramsar site in 2020. So coming to the methodology, to prepare the comprehensive list of bird species in and around Thane Creek, we collated information from published literature and online sources. And to code the bird abundance and the flight activity, we used fixed vantage point code method. To identify the flight zones of different bird species, we used island height and conductor and ground wire as the reference point. The birds were seen flying over the conductor wires. They were treated there in the risk zone. If the birds were seen flying above and below the conductor wires, they were treated there in the safe zone. And we also did cargo surveys using boats. We do increase the cargo detection. We surveyed greater than 100 meter either side of the transmission line. So detection of carcass in short duration of the study is quite difficult. So therefore, we collected secondary source of information by interviewing local people about collision risk of different species in the area. This surveys were conducted during summer and monsoon season. Coming to the results, already 201 bird species were reported in Thane Creek, of which 52 bird species were recorded during the study. Are they passive forms and the corrective forms are maximum number of species followed by passive forms. Among the recorded species, 34% were migratory. Lesser flamingo, lesser sunflower, little still were the most abundant species in the summer season, whereas Indian cormorant, greater flamingo, and faintest in the monsoon season. The abundance of Indian cormorant during monsoon season was quite unexpected. When other times of the year, this species was fairly uncommon in the area. The overall 26 bird species were seen crossing the power line. So the maximum crossing rates were observed in the summer season as compared to the monsoon season. This was mainly due to the presence of many migratory species. The overall crossing rate was also higher for resident bird species like house crow and the black-headed. From this figure, it is clearly evident that the overall flight activity was relatively low in the safe zone as compared to the risk zone. This was mainly attributed to the existing transmission lines are about 100 years old, and the presence of this existing transmission lines, to the presence of existing transmission lines, birds might have adapted to these human modified artifacts. So coming to the carcass survey results, about 94% respondents witnessed collisions with power lines. Almost all collisions were reported were perigos due to their larger body size. Few of them also recorded other bird species, but they were unable to identify those species due to their smaller body size and difficult in identifying those species. The maximum conditions were recorded during monsoon season, and a single day maximum of 40 to 50 flamingos were recorded about a couple of years ago. During our carcass search, we did not record any dead birds. This was mainly due to the location of the study site. The study site is mainly influenced by tidal cycles. There was a high chance of washing out of the carcass. That was the reason we failed to record the dead birds, and maybe there were no collisions during the survey. Resident bird species like Auscrow were highly highly adapted to the long-established transmission lines. Therefore, higher crossing rate and no collisions were observed in this species. The larger body size, less flamingos, are highly vulnerable to collision. During the literature survey, we came to know that the active board flight diverters are more effective than the passive board diverters, and we further came to know that any single bird diverter is going to work effectively for all bird species in multiple environmental conditions. By considering this, we suggested one passive bird diverter is that a span flight diverter, and in combination with one active bird flight diverter is that effective rotor marker and effective flight diverters. We recommended this bird diverter because in several other studies, these diverters effectively reduce collision risk of flamingos and waterfowl species. The impact of the effectiveness of bird flight diverters not studied in the Indian context. Future studies can be conducted in Tanipur to assess the effectiveness of suggested bird diverters. I would like to thank these people. And thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Babu Rao. Now the next presenter is Kevin D. The title of his presentation is The Current Status of Habitat Quality and Prey of White-bellied Heron, Ardea insignis, in Eastern Arunachal Pradesh.
Kavin has done his master's in environmental science from Bharatiya University, Coimbatore. He started his research career by interning at Wildlife Institute of India. He is interested in freshwater ecology and fish taxonomy, and currently he is working as a senior research biologist in SACOR, where he is looking at fish ecology and piscivorous bird communities of the Eastern Himalayas. Over to you, Kavin.
Very good morning to everyone. I'm going to present on my ongoing human research on the topic the current status of active pointing way of being around Eastern Arunachal Pradesh. Firstly, I would like to talk about systems. The systems we are not very fundamental to our planet, and they save us a of our planet. And they are very dynamic in nature, we ensure their availability. They are available in the form of lake, rivers, ponds, and even under the materials. And stickers to our nature because they provide they save us a one or two fascinating and incredible number of species. Nearly more than 1,25,000 species rely on freshwater ecosystem. Um, Either directly or indirectly. Now, this one or two traditionally animals they have the freshwater ecosystem. But however, these freshwater ecosystems are being disturbed by variety of anthropogenic processes. Then there cannot be any place without a human influence on the freshwater system. As a cause of it, many of the river dependent species or species are put into the risk. One such species is Viburnum, which is being affected by the anthropogenic process from human. Uh, Now it is at the risk of extinction. It is currently just as a critical endangered under IUCN category. It is confined to the eastern Himalayas, especially in Bhutan and eastern part of India. Um, it is estimated to have around less than 250 individuals worldwide. Mainly, recent studies suggest that India is only less than 10 individuals. This bird is specialized in nature because uh, Western clean and undisturbed country, and also they need a habitat with fish abundance because that is very composed of fishes. So more than 95% of compost of fishes. So due to the specific requirement, we need to understand the prey place and also quality for the conservation methods. So we initiate the study and the where this bird is known to occur, where we did the detailed assessment of railways. Also we found the drivers of this fishing, these communities, and also we study the current status of languages and land cover in the Nambapa Tigers. And we also contributed the anthropology to the Viburnum and it's targeted as well as for these communities. So from November 2020 to March 2023, we collected data from Nambapa Tigers. This Nambapa Tigers is located in Changan district of Arunachal Pradesh. This Namdapar has four main streams, river streams. One is Divan, Mishni, and Namdapar, which are running to the north stream. The north rivers are also tributary from Namdapar. And also, this Namdapar Tiger Reserve has many entering communities, like Mishni, Chatma, and Lisu as a dominant communities residing there. So, in order to quantify the habitat quality, we took 54 sites inside PA and 54 sites outside of PA. And so we have 108 such, so these sites are classified as low, medium, high based on the disturbance which are identified aided by other services to work on that. As far as our method is concerned, we follow best scientific sample design where we have different segment within which we have sub-segment of chemical leads. At every 250 meter, we identify different kinds of habitats like cascade and pool, and we sample. So the distance between two segments, 500 meter segment is 500 meter, and at 50 meter we record the water quality parameters like DO, pH, temperature, pH. And by using multi-parametric, and actually both by using flow meter. As well as conditioning, we strategize our and gears. We use cash net given of various messages ranging from 1 centimeter to 3 centimeter. And also we used drag net, which is a mosquito net. We use this nets throughout our sampling plan. And sampling is standardized for around 2 hours per subsegment to in order to maintain the cash perimeter. So we got a during a women's survey, we adopted 68 pieces of research. Fortunately, we didn't get any invasive species, but out of the 3 available and one is endangered. And then this golden mousy, we look at a golden mousy, that is endangered. So to understand the diversity between protected and non-protected area, we will detail a simple box which resulted in the PEA has protected as richness and where we got on average 5 to 10 individuals inside PA, but we got very less individuals outside of PA. It's under below. As far as based on the disturbance level, we found that higher disturbance level very less spaces compared to the low disturbance. And the same follow the same counters follow the same trend. Difference is very much count is very much lower in high disturbance. Shown does not show any much variation between PA and non-PA, but PA has found to be little good quality in terms of water quality. Like for example, D1 pH or higher inside PA than the non-PA. This might be due to the headwater streams. The richness and count as the key parameter like temperature has a strong influence on richness and abundance in any system. Here also we got a similar result where richness is positively correlated with short relationships between the water temperature. But this time we didn't get any clear relationship with the other parameters like pH and pH. In still streams, the composed of mainly refills and cascade, where this richness, this population is limited when compared to other. But we have got more number of species and refills habitat than the pool. This might be perhaps we have a lot of refill habitat than the pool, and this species might be adapted to the refill habitats in this study area. To understand the perspective use and then in this study area, we classically based on some quantities which we were observing during our survey, and to understand whether they influence on the river system, we delineated into series of buffers from the point of sampling, like 500 and 800 meters. This 1000 meter buffer shows that vegetation dominates the total land inside the period. We can clearly see that once down the stream, it's outside of PA, agriculture and woodland increase significantly. So this might also pose a potential risk for the riverine ecosystem. To understand that, we classified the land use based on 3 categories: one is low land use, and moderate land use, and high land use. Low land use nothing on the banks, 1000 meter agriculture or the irrigation. In one side is the agriculture or one side is forest. So we found lower land use had a better efficiency than the other. So as far as Whiteberry is severe threats in the city area that the cattles, large number of cattles, persistent presence of these cattles also pose a risk, and people used to collect insect or animal food for food. This and use fishing and competition is like pieces like government action. Also, posted to the our area. And as far as the rest of is very impacted the city area. People use use automation, which is legal under the Public Protection Act, and they use dynamic fishing also, which also which also poses a threat to the habitat of fishes, and also we can say we have money for construction as well as for other purpose. It is mostly protected area. Interestingly, we got more species insect protected area than the outside. And during a survey, we recorded only one verbally around the first opportunity recorded. So it is important to engage the local communities and sensitize them towards traditional fishing to concern both fishes and verbally around this area. So seasonal way forward, seasonal sampling will be done from here, and survey to understand the perception of fish and birds will be conducted in the upcoming. So with this, I would like to thank others.
Thank you, Kevin. So the next presenter is Dr. Mahindiran. His topic of presentation is the Cormorant Oceanography Project. Of the big areas for tagging cormorant species along the east coast of Tamil Nadu, India.
Mahindiran is a senior scientist working in the veterinary division of SACON. His research interest includes hereditary birds, its morphological diversification, and their evolutionary aspects. Over to you, Dr.
Very good morning to all, and I will thank the authorities for giving this opportunity. And the title of my presentation today is about Cormorant Oceanography Project and exploration of the potential areas for tagging cormorant species along the east coast of Tamil Nadu, India. And it is, I would like to highlight two important things. One is about the background of the project, and the second thing is we have just started this project. So I would like to share with you the preliminary results that we have got in this project. And before I go, the actual project is Cormorant Oceanography. Expanded research is a part of distributed autonomous scalable hydrographic tracking methodological sampling. It is an interdisciplinary collaboration based at Oregon State University between a visible oceanographers, geographists, atmospheric scientists, and a seaboard ecologist with a Department of Fisheries, Biological Conservation Sciences. The whole project aimed at taking a global collaboration of people to develop a method to sample the oceanography from the cormorants to improve the ecological understanding of this often overlooked group of birds. So that's the whole idea behind these things. We'll try to see this couple of minutes how the cormorants are going to be helpful in estimating oceanographic parameters. As I told you already, throughout the world, we have about 40 species of cormorants spread all across, and out of which about 11 species, again, all across the world, we have been tapped through this project, which includes grand, Malach, double-breasted cormorants, US, and Peru, and imperial shark, Balkanainen, and greater cormorants in Lithuania, Sweden, South Africa, Southern cormorants in UAE, and Belarus, and Indian cormorant, that is shark, got tagged in Sri Lanka, and blackfish cormorants in Australia, and spotted shark in New Zealand, and Cape cormorants in South Africa. And we are waiting for permits from the Forest Department. Now, if it gets through, then we can have a chance to have 3 species of cormorants in this region. We are trying to focus on the east coast of Tamil Nadu during this project. And you may ask the questions, why not a use of cormorant? Earlier, the same thing was measured using satellite micro radiometers, using infrared spectrometers. And also, the oceanographic parameters was measured through in situ mood drifted voice, standard voice all across the ocean. And also, shipping opportunities helped us to collect these data sets. But the point is, this thing, though we collect this interesting information from the high gadgets, but due to some correlating effects, the science-specific information is not very precise. So the cormorants are going to really jump in and fill up those gaps. That's the whole idea of this entire project, and which will have a great impact to estimate climate change across the globe. And this is not the first time this such kind of experiment has been done. Already in 1990s, such using the millipedes, they were able to identify the melting of Antarctic ice, and it was very helpful. So keep taking this path along these things. The entire work has been focused to tag the cormorants and try to collect the data from this project. And I told you, cormorants are wonderful oceanographers, but interestingly, the cormorants in India are not totally marine, but it is focused on coastal, but there are certain marine cormorants. But anyway, keep it aside. The birds, the reason why we select the cormorants is because it makes minimum 100 eyes, and it has fantastic driving behavior, and we don't fit using solar-based tags. So all these things taking into consideration, we found that these cormorants are ideal things to collect fantastic information. These are the gadgets which we would like to use in the coming days, and but we required permits for that again. And on the right is the sort of information you want to collect in terms of depth and that and other factors. Finally, in the presentation, I would like to share with you only one objective, which is to identify the potential sites, tracking sites for biologging 3 common species with a solar powered network connected GSM tags. And that's the whole idea. We have to identify the potential areas in Tamil Nadu. So that is something, and that was the main objective that I would like to present. And here in this photograph, you can see all the 3 cormorants. On the top left is the Indian shag. On the top right, down below is the large cormorants, and between is the Indian cormorants. Kind of difficult for the layman, but once you get trained, it's quite interesting to even bird identification itself. And second things, we surveyed a stretch of Kaveri river, and second, some inland pockets of Tamil Nadu and Karnataka and Kerala, where coastlines of Tamil Nadu is in a phased manner from September 2020 to March 2023. We surveyed, and all the coastal districts in the Tamil Nadu, including Tiruvallur, Chennai, Kachigoda, Villupuram, Nagapattinam, Tiruvallur, Tanjavur, Pudukkottai, Ramanathapuram, Thoothukudi, and Kanyakumari, surroundings did a survey. And during the survey, we had a great chance to interact with the local bird watchers, bird trappers, because without the trappers, it's going to be really difficult. We need to train trappers, so we got a lot of information from them. And apart from this thing, a lot of NGOs really jumped in, help us, foresters, managers, forest departments, and many self-help groups and college students were really helpful in identifying potential areas across places. And interestingly, many of the areas that we come across are dotted with bird sanctuaries, IPAs, rancher sites all along the coast and hidden reefs. And these are the results that we got. We identified 51 congregation sites all along the east coast of Tamil Nadu, starting from Pulikkad Lake near Chennai to Kolachal, Thiruvananthapuram. Okay, so these are the broad, the blue dot indicates the important congregation sites of these birds. A fairly decent amount of numbers of birds of three species that we were able to see. And these are the important potential tagging areas that we come to a conclusion to tag in this location is. One is Rajatamangalam river mouth in Kanyakumari, and the other one is an Anjigram place in Kanyakumari. These two has a potential of all three corners. Interesting, large corners are available in good numbers at certain seasons. And the other one is a Muthupet lagoon, where we saw all the three again are species very in the lagoons. And there's another place, Parangipet Center for Advanced Studies on Marine Biology. Again, we saw this good number of birds there in this night place to that bird. And the final one, the top north of Tamil Nadu is Puthukadu Estuary in Kanchipuram. This is again another potential sites that we have highlighted, that we have zeroed down. And apart from these things, what we observed is that the scheme population distribution of the species, as somebody previously mentioned, that in some parts of the year, good number of cormorants are aggregating. And we also saw the similar pattern as skewed population distribution of the species being richer in the west coast and inland areas compared to poorer species in the east coast of India. So, and there's a lot of other things, factors running behind this thing. And the other important thing is some important nesting sites along the east coast face severe water scarcity, resulting in obvious failure of breeding remedy. So it is not every of the birds have been breeding, and there's some great connections between the climate change and many other parameters related to this. And usual, even in my PhD studies, I observed a huge number of unusual places of cormorants, and again we noticed a similar trend here. It clearly indicates a very interesting thing to work on in future. And these are my little studies and little results, and the expected would be an understanding of important happening for cormorants along East Coast that can expect results in the days to come, and understanding the movements of the cormorants also and spatial distribution of these things. To understand, to make a spatial planning, marine planning is what is quite possible in the studies. These are the likely expected results in the years to come, provided the data permits from correspond. That's the important thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mahendran. The next presenter is Dr. Aditi Mukherjee. Our topic of presentation is a non-invasive approach to understanding the habitat use, activity regime, and movement ecology of Indian rock python. Python models from two select locations in India.
Dr. Aditi Mukherjee is faculty at SACON. Before joining as faculty, Dr. Aditi completed her doctoral research from SACON and then briefly joined Rajasthan Forest Department's Interns Program for Wildlife and Forestry Management. Her doctoral research on Keoladar National Park, Rajasthan, helped to gather substantial information on the burrow use patterns of terrestrial vertebrates, particularly by the Indian crested porcupines, jackals, pythons, and bats. The findings help to identify certain management perspectives of the ecologically significant burrow ecosystems. Today's talk is part of an ongoing PhD-funded project that tries to fill research gaps from our doctoral research. Over to you, Dr.
Thank you, sir. This is Aditi. So today, my talk basically is about how to use non-invasive approaches to assess the population of Indian rock pythons and monitoring their populations, and hence the title strikes to python lodges. I'll come down exactly why I have used title. So first of all, this entire talk is a part of an ongoing PhD funded project of which Dr. Kumara and Shirish are also part of as research team members. First of all, why to study pythons? Of course, apart from my personal interest in these large non-venomous species, at present, the IUCN estimate says that the pythons are near-threatened species with a decreasing population trend. It is also listed in the Schedule 1 of Indian Wildlife Protection Act 1972 and also appears to be there in the CITES list. Apart from being the endemic species of Indian subcontinent, in India it's largely present across all habitats and mostly they are found in all kinds of forest patches, grasslands, wetlands, as well as caves and subterranean habitats. Coming down to the actual threats that currently this particular species is facing is the major threat is from the habitat fragmentation, majorly because of the residential and commercial development, agricultural and agricultural landscapes. And this particular species is still in use for medicinal purposes locally and nationally. In medicine terms of handicrafts and jewelry, their skins are still used. It's also used as food, as consumption for meat locally, and they are still in pet trade along with the Burmese pythons locally, nationally, as well as internationally. So, understanding the conservation actions and also the as per the IUCN species assessment, there are several issues that the python still needs to be focused on. With this particular project, we will be actually covering the systematic monitoring scheme, conservation sites to be identified. Although 50% populations are present in the protected areas, but still there are no specific systematic monitoring scheme present for this particular near-threatened species. Area-based regional management plan will be recommended, and also it will be using the information will be used to spread more education as well as awareness amongst local people. So this entire topic is also a part of. So pythons have been extensively studied in one of the national parks, which is Keoladeo National Park in Rajasthan, and the population is more like a closed population, which is subjected to a very long-term research. Population, breeding biology, and several other things have been taken care of. Apart from this particular population, recently, team from WI also carried out food-range ecology at Sityamangalam Tiger Reserve, which is also like basically it is using an invasive approach of how to food-range ecology, which they have identified 14 species that are tagged. So coming down to a little difference from this particular topic of using invasive methods, I tried using non-invasive techniques and developing how we can use it properly. So for this, we are basically carrying out study into biogeographically distinct region. One is Keoladeo National Park. It's a very well-known protected area, semi-arid type of biogeographic area. It's a very small area of 29 square kilometers with a known population. Though there are several studies that have been already carried out, the present study is attempting to extend its boundaries not just within the Keoladeo National Park but also outside. With the identification method that I will be discussing in the second objective, we will also try to find out the interburrow movements, parasite fidelity, survival rates, their activities in summers, and also the prey-based assessment in both the regions. The second area is very close to Kanha National Park. It's also called Ajmer Dadar. But Ajmer Dadar is a known small place, but its entire work will be carried out with the Jabalpur Forest Circle. This particular area reports a good population of python and has been scientifically unexplored so far. Ajmer Dadar is completely opposite to what Keoladeo National Park is. This particular region of Mandala, which is in Jabalpur Forest Circle, is Eastern Deccan volcanic province with unique rocky terrain, and it is made up of igneous rocks. So it's a very different kind of habitat that using when compared to Keoladeo National Park. So with this, the main objectives to assess and compare habitat suitability activity regime of molluscs at two different biogeographic regions. The standard individual identification techniques for pythons using non-invasive methods, and to use this technique to understand the movement and pattern of the survival rate of this particular species, specifically in Keoladeo National Park. Coming down to methodology, this particular methodology will be carried out in both the regions, Keoladeo National Park as well as the Jabalpur Forest Circle. we will be conducting reconnaissance and questionnaire surveys to understand the exact locations of these particular pythons. And we will be using all the direct and indirect methods, like even the presence of, say, marks in the eggshells as well as slow scale. So coming down to another thing about how to assess whether what kind of habitat this particular pythons are using, we will be taking data about spatial features, which will be LULC and all the other nearest distances from water and all, as well as physical features like vegetation, soil terrain, surface temperature, and also site characteristics. In one of the previous studies, there was already a part of which was carried out in Keravadura National Park. We tried to find out the internal architecture of porcupine burrows, and pythons happen to use porcupine burrows in Keravadura National Park. This time, this particular study will be extended for just porcupine burrows as well as we will try to identify mandala, which are rocky crevices, and try to assess the internal architecture as well as external physical features. Coming on to the other, we will be using the pulse design method because this is the method which is mostly used for stormates because they are very seasonal when it comes to their activity pattern. So for that, we'll be using camera trap as well as burrow video camera trap. What you see on the right corner is the burrow video camera trap unit. That will help us to know the internal architecture as well as how the animals are using the internal spaces inside. Then coming down to whether it is, it's really supporting the pythons in larger group. These use will be assessed for border regions. In Keravadura National Park, many species are being assessed, but exactly the prey base of pythons has not been largely assessed. And for mandala, it has not been assessed at all. So this will be carried out. So all these are the methodologies of the first objective. The second, where the topic of the cycle comes into place, which is tiger stripes, python blotches. Basically, the entire idea of individually identifying the species and using it to monitor the population is very essential non-invasively. This particular entire technique of identifying the blotches of pythons was initially studied by Tirupati 1990, where just the first 4 blotches of python along with the head blotch is enough to individually identify the pythons. So the major challenge is to get dorsal images. So to understand, I mean, to get the dorsal images from the study site, this entire study site will be largely carried out in KLP because it has more population. So what we did is we used the 4th method, which is called camera overhead augmented temperature method protocol. Basically, it uses a reflective sheet so that any swarmage or any reptiles passing through it can trigger the PIR camera. If you see the image on the right, which is the illustration, we will try to ring-fence the entire burrow entrance and where the pythons will be, they will be directed to go under the camera so that we can take the proportional blotches. What you see on the right is what we have already designed. It is a slight modification of code. When you code, there is a reflective sheet that gives the a difference in the heat sensors for PIR. What we have used is active infrared sensors. Once the python cuts the active infrared sensor beam, the photographs will be triggered using a normal DSLR camera. So this is a modification of the code method that is currently being used in US and Australia. Along with the dorsal blotches, we will also be trying to assess whether pythons can be individually identified with dorsal lateral patches. All the rescued individuals will be photographed. In both the study regions, a lot of rescues happen for Indian rock python, especially in and around Keravadura National Park. So once this second objective, where basically cataloging all the images are done, we will try to use these images in assessing the movement pattern and survival rate of pythons, specifically in Keravadura National Park. For that, all the images obtained from the second objective will be actually compared, and we will try to find out the communal congregation of pythons. This is a basic example of what you see on the left are maps from 2013 to 2016, and now these pythons have actually used the entire place, but in a different congregation way. So we don't know whether the same individuals are using the same burrow site or whether they have any site specificity. So for that, all these imageries will be very important. Additionally, all the departments, forest staff will they also trained to take specific angular photographs. What we see on the left is one alive and dead python individual, which was identified based on the individual blotches. So all these things are very essential in understanding to understand the movement and the diversity traits of this python's population in Kerala National Park. This we will be able to create a digital catalog of the industries. Work that has been going on. It's been just a year when we have started working on both the study side. Unfortunately, we just had one researcher, so there had to be a lot of shifting from one place to the other. So far, we have tried to take photographs from several locations of Mandala, and photographs from KMP is under process. So what we see is basically two different habitats and how the same species is behaving in different kinds of habitats. Coming down to the preliminary assessments of how the populations of pythons are spread across Mandala, what we found is unlike the Kerala National Park, where pythons are only found in porcupine burrows, here in Mandala, they are largely found in rocky devices, followed by burrows and artificial subterraneans like subterranean structure like pipes and culverts and several other things. All these locations are largely from the forested and agricultural plantations. So far, in the entire region, we have carried out approximately 186 questionnaire surveys, and the analysis for the same is yet to be carried out. Expected outcomes from this project, so this has just begun. So I would just like to list out the major outcomes. First, the data from this entire project will help train the forest department of both Rajasthan and MP to understand the movement pattern and make sound decisions on the management of species, especially the rescue and release of pythons. The findings will also help the departments in tourism management and public awareness, because in both the regions there is a lot of influx of tourists. Of course, it will also help in identifying area-specific conservation plans. Additionally, all these findings will help in institutions, and identification techniques will for population monitoring. What you see here is actually recently taken photograph from this particular species from Mandala by a snake charm. So this concludes the presentation, and thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Aditi. Now the next presenter is Dr. Vikas Kapoor. He is going to present on the assessment of fish diversity in Moyar River, Tamil Nadu.
Dr. Vidyadhar is a trained freshwater biologist who has more than 15 years pan-India research experience. He is a faculty at Bangalore. He is interested in stream fish community ecology and multiple spatiotemporal scales, and also assessing the effects of dams, inter-river basin transfer on aquatic biodiversity. Over to you, Dr.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today I am talking about the preliminary results of the survey that we conducted in Moyar River as part of the review project. So this research is carried out by my research students Kavin and Vaishali Vasudeva, who was our MSc research interns at WI. As you all know, that freshwater constitute a really tiny fraction on the surface of Earth, but more than 51% of known fishes, of which nearly 10% are fish, 10% is of vertebrate, that is only fish. Besides the diversity of fish, they also help in sustaining human livelihoods of millions of people, especially in the tropical countries. The World Forgotten Fishes is a report published in 2020 where we show that there is a strong decline in 76% of migratory fishes. And when you look at the mega fish, which is the span up to 2 meters in the length, we have dwindled more than 94% of the populations. But still, the sharpening, the bending of this curve can be, bent to an extent by contributing the scientific knowledge. And as part of that, we have this project, which is a long-term ecological observatory scheme funded by MOEFCC, where we have observed preliminary sites to identify long-term river segments along the gradient of rainfall from the left hand side, which is east to the west. We have temperature and rainfall gradient decreasing, and river Moyer originates from the headwaters of the left hand side and all the way to Satyamangalam on the right hand side. So we have conducted this study basically to document the patterns in the diversity and try and understand how the diversity is influenced by different variables. And lastly, we also try to measure the different body length of the fishes and we see how they are distributed among across the rivers. So we've identified 6 river habitats, prominent vegetation plots like river habitat identified in the river Moya. As you can see, Talgudi, Sigur Bridge, Mangalapatti and Dhenumar. Mangalapatti and Dhenumar are Mudumalai tiger reserves. We've followed the standard protocols to measure the river characteristics, including water chemistry as well as the water stream velocity, by having a stream profile. Subsequently, traditional methods of fishing by sampling based on the local fishing. For all the sampling methods of fish, we measured the total body length of fishes. We observed, photographed, and released them alive in the water when captured. Specimens. So we had collected few individuals. Since preliminary is species of which 9 species were at Western Ghats endemic. Mangalapatti was the richest with 11 species followed by other sites. In terms of the body size, 1.5 to 140 centimeters, 9.82 centimeter body size, all across 6 river segments. Interestingly, the small body size fishes were quite common. Mangalapatti and Dhenumar, which is a protected region, so remote locations in the Tamil. And we also found a small population of tilapia, which is a non-native fish in the remote parts of the Malay. With respect to understanding how fish diversity is influenced by the water characteristics and the river characteristics, we don't see any clear relation simply because of this preliminary assessment conducted in June 2021. And we are able to build on data to understand this fish diversity more meaningfully in the near future. With respect to precise class distributions, we found the common species like Garamilla, Chascom, Sulphur, Pylorus, Scamanthus are quite abundant and they were of less than 50 centimeter in the size. Again, Dhenumar and Mangalapatti had relatively larger body size fishes, including Vexillobarbus to the Western Ghats, and the large number of species which are smaller body size. So with that, I'd like to thank my teammates and of course thank the Research Second and a range of policy department personnel who had immensely helped providing the logistics service. Thank you.
Dr. Vidyadhar. Now we have a presenter, Dr. Golden Matros. He is going to present on the restoration of holding ponds in Navi Mumbai Municipal Corporation area.
Dr. Golden Patros is a faculty in SACOR. He joined the SACOR in 2011 and is currently working as a principal scientist in the Wetland Ecology Division. Over to you, Doctor.
Good afternoon, everybody.
and thank you for this opportunity for presenting this work. The topic is restoration of holding pond in Navi Mumbai Municipal Corporation area. It is basically a consultancy project that we have been doing for the past 1 year. The study has been in Navi Mumbai. And Navi Mumbai is one of the largest land cities in India, conceived in the year 1972. It was basically given to CIDCO that the entire city is planned in a well-managed way. From the entire area of Navi Mumbai, it has a coastal stretch of 4.2 kilometers, with honey and peaks being very close, in very close proximity. Some of the locations of Navi Mumbai are such that they are below the high tide. So this is what makes this study important. Like, Netherlands is known to be a city that country that is below the high tide mark. And the technology that is used over there, basically the Dutch technology or Dutch method or Dutch studies are used over here to combat the flooding. So conventionally, it is like the land is over the high tide mark, and the difference in the high tide and low tide would basically prevent the intrusion of water towards the landward side. The Dutch method is like the land is below the high tide mark, barriers or walls are created with flat gates so that the high tide water is controlled at the same time as the water comes from the landward side, that is kept in the holding ponds and released accordingly. If you go to look at Belapur in Navi Mumbai city, it has this Sahyadri hills or the Patrick hills from where the water during the rains come from the high elevation to the mid elevation to the low elevation. And that was the reason why when CIDCO planned the city, it created something like 14 different holding ponds across Navi Mumbai to address this problem of flooding in the city. And mangroves are also present along Thani Creek as well as Panvel Creek. And there was this PI by one of the NGOs in Mumbai in 2005. And based on the PI later in 2006 and finalized in 2018, it was totally freezed. My mangrove cutting was freezed in the state of Maharashtra. It was considered protected, and the land was the government had declared as protected forest. So based on the satellite imagery that we compared since 2005, we found that in 2005 there was just no mangroves within this holding pond. Our study was in the Belapur area because this was one holding pond area which is not given to the forest department and is still with the Navi Mumbai Municipal Corporation. So this holding pond in 2005 just did not have any mangroves within the holding pond, but gradually over a period of say in 2009 it became to 0.5 to 3%, 5% to 25% in 2014, 45% in 2017 to 80% that is existing now. So if you look at the map over here, it is like there are just these small channels, little channels that are there which are filled with mud flats and the mangroves all around, and that makes the situation difficult for the functioning of the holding pond. Now this holding pond's inlet and outlet has also been sort of been manipulated because of non-maintenance. Rather not manipulated, rather they have been degraded, and the water ingress and outgress is a problem basically. So initially what used to happen is there was this holding pond and there was a nala, as you can see over here. And as the tide would start, the pond gates would open, the floodgates would open, and the water would be released out. So there was no flooding in the city bird side. But because of the PIL, what happened was siltation happened. The floodgates started, they were not functioning basically. The mangroves grew because the mangroves came in, and gradually it became shallow. So yeah, this is what increased a lot. The pumping station that is there created to pump out the excess water out during the high tide also got heavily silted, and the the pumps also were not functioning. It's like malfunctioning, and the floodgates, instead of closing during the high tide, just started opening. And all this happened because since 2005 there was no management of this floodgates and all. So the siltation increased, the mangroves increased, and from 2014 you can see the number of increasing. Yes, it is not Navi Mumbai, it is Navi Mumbai. This was the situation since 2014 up to 2021, 22 that get city will become wetland all over again. So, objective for the study was basically to document the management of the holding pond and suggest measures for the restoration of the holding pond. So the study area, as I earlier said, that is Belapur, CBD Belapur holding pond number 12. The holding capacity of the pond was something like 75 million liters initially, where the depth of the holding pond was 3 meters, which has now reduced to just about a meter. And we studied the mangrove diversity by plotting 100 by 100 meter grids with some the overall mangrove diversity. So the mangrove species that we got were basically 8 species with 2 mangrove associates. The dominant one was Tennessina marina. Ecutisma was the most dominant one, followed by Marina marina and Tennessina augustinalis in the pond. And there was no difference throughout the year that we studied. There was no regeneration of new mangroves because the mudflats become more unstable and the growth was more retarded on the mudflats. The mangrove within the ecosystem was vanishing because of the sewage water also that it was getting. The other diversity also that we studied comprised of bird species, when we recorded 93 species of birds, of which 30 were water birds, and insects, mammal species, some of the threatened species or scheduled species that we have recorded. This near threatened species that include the Alexandrine parrotweed, the black-headed Bengal monitor lizard, as well as the scheduled 1 and scheduled 2 species. So, holding pond does provide an ecosystem. It is a man-made pond. It is not actually existing wetland. And the constraint that comes over here for the maintenance and management of the wetland was basically the wetland rules for NMMC. Second was the coastal zone regulation because it comes in 1A, and the third one was the Maharashtra High Court order on mandates. So when we had to do the suggestion, we had to explain to the NMMC as to how this holding pond does not come under the purview of the wetland rules. Because as per the wetland rules, there is a provision where wetlands which are created for human use do not fall under the wetland rules. So you can manage and manage and maintain such ecosystems which are man-made. Because there is something like a constructed wetland, plantation is also allowed. But since it is closer to marine ecosystem, which has some influence of Palmieri tree, mangroves have also grown, and that is the reason why we cannot touch the mangrove. But then the other things can be managed, and accordingly, the recommendations that we gave were that the CBD Belapur, first of all, is not a notified wetland. It is not a natural wetland, and it is a man-made thing. So now it is a Ramsar site. Hence, the wetlands are not applicable and for the management of the wetland, and neither coastal zone regulation notification prevent managing the structures that are existing over there. Development of new structures up to 50 meters and all that is prohibited, but the existing ones like the pumping station as well as the floodgates can be managed. Even this desiltation on the mudflats can be done for the management of the wetland. NMMC does not permit any of the fishermen to do fishing. Where when they permit, definitely the ecosystem can be restored. I would like to thank all these people associated with the project. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Goldwing. The next presenter is Bharti Arora. He is going to present on integrated management plan for human blackbuck conflict in Narayanpet district of Telangana.
Dr. Bharti has been working with diverse mammalian species about their biology, dimensions of human-wildlife conflict, and mitigation strategies. She joined SACON in 2022 for a short duration to uptake the study of human blackbuck conflict in Telangana. Today, she will be sharing insights on how blackbucks are doing in the southern Indian state of Telangana. What do you, Dr. Bharti?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Please start.
Please unmute.
I'm really sorry, I will start over once again. A very warm afternoon to everybody, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to present here on the topic of population estimation of blackbirds in Ranpet, Telangana. So when we talk about blackbirds, the first thought that comes to our mind is what? Is their habitat. They are grassland associated species. So apart from blackbirds, there is a wide range of species which are being supported by the grassland, and it's a humble abode of wide range of species. But the peril is that they are declining at an alarming rate. So the grasslands which are occurring outside the protected area are being falling prey to a lot of conversion activities to grasslands and various developmental activities. A similar situation is also witnessed in southern India as well. So if the grasslands are getting affected, so what happens to the species which are associated with them? So blackbird, which is distributed, majorly distributed outside the protected area, should also be declining. So according to the conventional wisdom, the blackbird population should also go down. But recent studies have shown the blackbirds are adapting very well to the changing LULC pattern, and hence is a rise in the case of human blackbird conflict. So this particular area, Telangana, is one such area that is an exemplary example of one of this situation. So in Telangana, a district called Naranpet, containing 11 tehsils, which are commonly known as Mandal, are facing a extreme blackbird human conflict. Among those 11 mandals, the five major mandals, namely Utkur, Magalur, Makban, Krishna, and Narga, are for immediate attention due to rise in the cases of human blackbird conflict. So these are some of the major crops which are being sown in those affected mandals. But unfortunately, the farmers are facing high economic loss in the region because of high crop deprivation which is done by the farmers. So the farmers, to mitigate the loss, they've been practicing a lot of traditional methods which are being employed by them, but clearly the data shows that these methods are not effective enough. So understanding the background of the study, so we undertook this pilot study to conduct and understand the population parameters of blackbird. In addition to that, to suggest some of the mitigation measures that can mitigate the blackbird human conflict in the area. So before initiating our field work, what we did, we conducted intensive training workshop in Narayanpet district for the first officials where we standardized the protocol field surveys. After completing the training workshop, what we did, we started to conduct a field survey that helped us to examine the cropping pattern, as well as we also started to collect the population data for the blackbird population. So the parameters that were focused on blackbird included individual numbers, group size, sex ratio, age structure, and herd size. So these parameters for the blackbird were monitored using rapid vehicle transit covering an area of 1180 square kilometer between 8 to 22nd of November 2022. For every 5 selected mandals, we had 5 mandals per group that were monitored and surveyed thrice during the duration, during the morning hours between 7 to 10 a.m. in the morning. So after collecting the data, which was on the required parameters, the data was analyzed using covariate-based distance sampling to measure the individual herd density. So the two covariates that were used in the study were mandal and habitat type. So the preliminary results for the study shows that the overall density in the affected mandals of all the individuals were 1.25 individuals per square kilometer. For males, it was 0.54 individuals per square kilometer. For females, it was 0.98 individuals per square kilometer. Independently, for every mandal, the population estimation for Magdal was the highest, and for Krishna mandal was the lowest. And towards your right, the map shows the herd density. So the herd density for the black buck population was found to be highest in Krishna mandal and was found to be lowest in Narga mandal. Moving on to the age structure of the black buck, where we saw that the percentage of adult females was the highest in Utpur mandal and was found to be lowest in Maganur mandal. In comparison to females, the males were found to be highest in Maktal mandal and lowest in Utpur mandal. And when we compare the percentage of subaltern females, which were found to be higher in all mandals throughout, when compared to the subaltern male population. The data of sex ratio showed clearly indicated that the population, except for Maktal mandal, had a female biased population. For the habitat, we could clearly see that the density that was catered, the black buck density that was catered highest was in a combination of habitat which included cotton, paddy, cotton jowar, as well as cotton jowar, and the least density was found in paddy habitat. So now we can conclude by saying that the herd density and the individual density in every mandal possibly differed due to specific cropping pattern in every mandal. In addition to that, the black buck population in Narayan did fairly well and has adapted well to the crops such as cotton, paddy, and jowar. So moving forward to the study, we can say that these are some of the suggested measures that could actually help in mitigating the human black buck conflict, which includes appropriate fencing strategies. One of the fencing ways is using high density polyvinyl fencing, which if plotted across the perimeter of the farm at a height of 8 feet, can definitely help in mitigating the damage. And the another fencing such as biological fencing using Sustaining Ranciflora can be another big help. Replacing the galvanized fencing by one-off fencing is also an additional help in mitigating the damage in the area. In addition to appropriate fencing, conservation strategies such as community conservation, such as in Ganjam in Odisha, using sustainable cropping pattern where the farmers are sowing one particular crop. So the damage will be distributed among all the farmers in one time, and grassland conservation can be definitely a big help. In overall, I would say doing an analysis, seasonal analysis would definitely give a much more clearer picture about the population estimation of black buck in the district. So towards the end, I would like to acknowledge the following people, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Bharti. Now the next presenter is Dr. Kumara. He is going to present on population status and habitat by creating and custodian. Tirugappa, Karnataka.
Dr. H.N. Kumar is a faculty at Saigon. He is from Karnataka. He got a PhD and PhD from the University of Mysore and did postdoctoral study in years. He joined Saigon on the 1st March 2010 as a scientist. Currently, he is a principal scientist in the Conservation Biology Division.
afternoon. Thank you for giving this opportunity to share our findings. The project here is because of the 2 years project, having a major focus on conservation of great Indian buskers in Karnataka. Even in the population and ecological requirements of JD in selected locations in Karnataka, this is a special emphasis on Ballari landscape. And the investigators are myself and the researcher was people. This was funded by the Karnataka Forest Department. And today, shared population status and habitat used by clusters in Sirgupa, Karnataka. Among 25 species of clusters, many of them are in the threatened status. Probably this may be due to their body size and their habits, and broadly they have adopted to plants and they exploit for the activities and agriculture. And among 25, India is having about 3 species mainly and one migratory species. And all 3 are endangered and critically endangered, or endemic to the India. One of them is Great Indian Bustard. Earlier it was widely distributed, but probably the birds confined to Rajasthan, Gujarat, Maharashtra, and Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh. And in Deccan Plateau, they were confined to the Rolaport Wildlife Sanctuary sometime back in the last decade, and later there were no other sightings. And however, in the recent time, again, they have disappeared from Rolaport also. From the last 3-4 years, they have not been recovered from Rolaport. However, in 2006, the species has been recorded from Sirgupa in Karnataka. This is showing the area of Andhra Pradesh. And it was found that understanding of the species is very much required for the especially of this particular population. So the study was initiated in 2020. This is glimpses of GDPs in Sirgupa. It was taken back in years back, 2020. And Sirgupa is located in Ballari district, is one of the taluka and district. And this district, this taluk Sirgupa is having already irrigated area into river system. The area is very arid and dominated by black soil. And the major focus in this area was to understand the distribution and population status and source of GAPs. And there was only one record of the species occurring in the entire landscape. It was difficult to go behind the few words left over. And thus we have adopted a strategy to get the information from the people. So we have divided the area of the region where it was bird was reported, 5 kilometer breed cells, and there were about 119 breed cells, and we interviewed people who were the concerned people of these labs. And for each breed, we introduced around 8 people for the presence of the JAD. And based on the opinion, the detection by the people, we constructed the detection history matrix, and also for all these grades that we also collected the various variables like agricultural land, fallow land, and forest land, tree density,
settlement, villages, distance to the closest village, length of better roads in the trade, and period of land use. And using these variables, we often occupancy model, single season, single species occupancy model for detection, probability, and proportion of trees occupied by JVs based on the people's response. And following this, we adopted after identified the suitable place or most probable place, we selected those patches and treated those areas with a 1 square kilometer, and then we intensively monitor those traits. And it's a search team of about 13 people, and then we fix the routes how to go about searching for JVs, and once the JVs are detected, then information is passed to the researchers and also recorded the bird's location and also age and sex of the individuals. And then this was followed usually from about 200 meters. They were so sensitive, and all the observations were made using the binocular. And periodically, if the birds are there for around the period, the locations are also recorded. And the activities were also recorded periodically. And these were followed until they flew away from the site whose are cruising in the evening. And about 530 days of field work was carried out, and about probably about 43,000 kilometers of travel during the study period. And the results of this one, after the focus, initial people shows that about 20 grid cells, people have reported the sightings of the JVs, and detection probability was about 0.34, and estimated occupancy was 0.261. And the most parsimonious model had tree density and the number of villages in the grid cell. Tree density means here it is not a big forest, but it's somewhere around the 3 trees per grid itself is the tree density. That's what is actually here. In most of the grids have very less of a tree or no tree, and if the tree density is also very high, then the species was not recorded. And tree density, of course, what tree density? If you see since the area is having high temperature,
अभी फॉरवर्ड करेगा ना अभी वो तो मैंने करेला भी पूरे 2 ही है ना मेरे पास अरे 2 ही भेजे इसलिए और ऑनलाइन 5.5 और उनका क्या हुआ उसमें देगा इंटरनेट पे देगा और ठीक है ठीक है चल रहा है जैसे अलग अरे पोस्टर देख क्या लिखा है क्या भूल हाँ ये नहीं पूछे ना इसके बाद खाना पसंद
Already on. So, very nice.
Please continue.
Okay, thank you. Going back to the previous slide, I think, start again. After 23 grids, and we found about 20 grids, people have seen the JVs, and the estimated occupancy was about 0.261. And the tree density and the number of villages in the grid cell played a major role for the occupancy of the clusters. The tree density means here is not a tree density, it is about 2 to 3 trees per hectare. It is the density. And the number of villages, if it is a negative relationship, basically they were avoiding the villages and if the minimum distance of about 3 kilometers they maintain. And density probably because of a high temperature in the landscape, obviously that they prefer the minimum 2 trees as a shade trees, and it is shown here, it is visible here. They need a place for the roosting and the resting, and here also. 32 grid cells show high probability of a JAVs based on this findings. Then those grid cells with the high probability they were selected and intensive monitoring was done. We had 34 sightings of busters in the total search period, and the number of detections about 7 were in the 5 and 27 were on the ground. And single individuals detections were 20 and 2 individuals were 10, and 3 times we 4 times we spotted 3 individuals together, and 3 individuals, 1 adult male and 2 adult females included. And considering the even 2 birds before our study, we also had a detection of a few young ones that includes 1 male and 1 male, and we presume that based on the simultaneous detection of 3 together birds and also few young individuals, there is a possibility of about 5 to 6 JEBs using this particular landscape. And it's were intensively monitored, and these intensive grades, about 10 grades regularly we had sightings of the JEBs, and 22% of all sightings were in the forest land. Forest land means here in the last couple of years, last probably 4 or 5 years, under corporation responsibility, a lot of area were procured and it was handed over to the department by the private companies. And these lands are left without any cultivation, and also these lands are also managed to maintain the height of the vegetation. So these patches or somewhere put together, it will be about 300 acres have been already procured, and these patches are playing a major role in retaining the JEBs currently. And each detection or setting of the day of these individuals, we have observed somewhere around 5 hectares of area used per day, and maximum area that is used is somewhere around 21 hectares in a day. And intensity use grids are only 2, and moderate intensity use grids are 3. About low intensity use grids are 5. And intensity use grids are it is just about a few villages. That's the location possible areas. And these 2 grids and also many of the other 3 grids actually are not having any forest land that is procured. And most grids are having at least 1 or 2 other patches of the forest land. And when we have plotted this one with the village and the distance interval and all the in all of the books, everything put together, they're all falling in the away from the village. These are all village boundaries and 2-3 kilometer distance, and birds are inside right here. And minimum distance is 2.2 and average distance is 3.3. And one of the major things that we have observed in this area is free-ranging ducks, and very often seeing these animals killing blackbirds in the area, and also often chasing the jellybees, and it's quite often in the observation period reported. And so that though we don't have direct observation of them killing the buster, but the possibility of them killing or attacking or accidents may not be ruled out. So, in conclusion, 6 birds occur in the landscape, but these are the birds landscape, and often we have seen these birds going towards the Andhra Pradesh adjoining areas. Since our study was confined to a much smaller area, that is not enough to really understand or estimate the population. This interstate cooperation and a larger level population assessment is very much required. And also that already whatever was land that they have procured, it is managed, and the observation says that they have been using these particular lands very often. And if there is a vegetation more than 4 or 5 feet, then they have avoided even such vegetation. Also, the management of these patches is also very much frequent. And also, since there is already room for the computing of the land, and it is also a much bigger plan to procure more land, establish more forest patches, so then the birds can be attracted and they remain more longer period in the area. And also already existing information network and also research team has to maintain. Otherwise, if the link is missed, so then chances of again monitoring of them and reworking on the population and habitat management becomes very difficult. And also the domestic dogs, and they have to be managed and they have to be removed from the area. The hunting of removal of many animals also we have observed that it may have impact on the KLPs. And also quite often we have observed quite a lot of hunting by people that there is a possibility that it can also have an impact on the KLPs, although that we have not. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Thank you, Dr. Kumar. Now, I think we can proceed to the question and answer sessions. And I pass it on to Indranil. I think we're beginning with. Can you turn on your video, please?
Can this is made out of the
Yeah, exactly.
okay, fine. We will read out the questions. Okay. So the first question is for Ashish. We'll start with Ashish. The first question is from Ayan. He is asking if this is first about the manipulator study. And the first objective, the question is about mapping the distribution of hyena and jackal are already available, as you mentioned, by Jhala et al. 2021 and also by Srivatsa et al. Curious to know how this incentive, I mean, I'll be repeating the same study. And the second part of the question is, most of the secondary sources you have mentioned needs to be verified and species speciality is common. Moreover, precise GPS location will also not be available except for research papers. That could reduce the sample size.
So, yeah, so whatever map we have are from landscape as part of we don't have information outside of protected area. And another question was on data. We of information. So yeah, we have to consider that. That's why we're taking a large scale, not
Okay, so the next two questions are about the Heiner study. The first question is from Ayan again. He asks, hyenas and jackals often use human-dominated landscape areas outside PAs. These include outside PA areas for hyena SDM. This is a comment rather. And also he's saying, please also mention if you have collected information on species presence from outside the PAs. Maybe that was not clear in the PPT. I think that was more of a comment. Okay, I will move on to the next question. This is from Dr. Bilal. He wants you to clarify what you mean by suboptimal habitat here. The second part says, is it livestock predation or scavenging? Is there a way you have made a distinction? And the last part talks about regarding low density of hyenas. Don't you think the densities of hyenas being low is a response to availability of denning sites? Given that hyena is the only denning carnivore, and it is not a response to density of other sympatric carnivores.
Can you repeat the question?
Okay, so I will go to the last question, which seems more important. He says that you talk about low densities of hyenas, and you attributed it to low densities of other sympatric carnivores. He raises the question that don't you think that this low density of hyenas is because there is low availability of denning sites, not because of the effect of other low density of sympatric carnivores?
The availability of density. Think about it. Not exactly because actually where the and it's a valley and it has abundant of slopes and mountains, so it can be anywhere. And it's not getting on the ground, it's only getting on the slopes, which provide.
Ashish, those were the only questions for you. Thank you. We will next move on to Subhadra.
Yeah.
Okay, so your question. Ayan again, he compliments your study as being interesting. He asked you, the lantana infested areas are already used by God. Did you find any physiological or demographic aberrations in the god population staying predominantly in the lantana infested areas?
This is the last sentence.
Did you find any physiological or demographic aberrations in the god population staying predominantly in the lantana infested areas?
Yeah. Actually, this is a preliminary study, and from my study, what I found is like I was doing the indirect side evidence. I was heavily relying on the indirect side evidences. So that demographic structure, all the data I collected from the lantana infested areas, that enclosed areas, I collected the. I was relying for the indirect side. So
Yeah, I'll be exploring more and I'll be finding some good results, I think, when I'll be again on the field.
Okay, the next part of the question asks you, what would be the potential negative impacts of lantana removal on the already stable system?
Which system?
Stable system. System that you study.
Okay, actually, I couldn't get the next question. Can you?
So they're saying that the system has already evolved with lantana in it and now it's stable. What will removal have, how will removal have an effect on this system?
Okay, largely I found that the core present areas are enclosed by lantana. So maybe core is adapting to lantana cover and maybe it might be the case that it is adapting. So now I'm not very sure what will be the effect if that removal success will be done. So maybe it will, because I found that there is, from my analysis, I found that the percentage lantana cover is showing negative impact on bird population. So I think like there will be some improvement on our bird population if you are removing lantana from those areas, from those suitable areas.
Okay, Subhadra, that was all for you.
Thank you, sir.
I think that see.
Yeah.
Okay, shall I read it out? Because it's not really clear when you're reading it out of the audio, it's not very good.
Okay, ma'am. Sure. Please go on.
Okay, thanks. So next is for Anusha. What was the sample size for the distribution model? Spatial resolution. And criteria for determining the sample size.
Thank you for the question. So the size which we maintain for 10 minutes, and because students cover around 200 to 355 kilometers for foraging, so that's why we maintain that resolution.
Is that okay?
I think that was the sense.
Hey, Charlie. I don't. Okay. Anusha. 1 minute. The next one is the next one for Nilda. Can you please? There are some more questions for Dhanusha. I think it's the pictures are there after Nilda's questions. You can just go scroll down. There are some more questions for Dhanusha. And Nilda has only one question. Okay, let me just see. Okay, I'm not able to find the Anusha one. I found this one, the secretaries. Yeah, maybe you can ask. If we can't understand it, maybe I can repeat it.
Oh, yes, we'll go ahead with Milda.
Go ahead, Milda.
Please.
Okay, so the large carnivore
human-dominated landscape, especially leopards, rely largely on domestic. I got so badly written. Has considered these species occurrence and counting rates and one of the probabilities for species occupancy modeling have you considered?
No, species encounter rate we haven't considered.
Okay. The second question, poaching of common species such as to be underrepresented. Yes, how did you address this in your study?
See, we acknowledge the limitation at questionnaire survey. So, like people, we try to remove the error as possible. So this record was from the forest department officers, the forest range officers basically. So I think, yeah, that's it. That's the answer.
Can I just move on to the next question? It's not for Milda, which is kind of random.
Yes, yes, please.
Yeah, okay. The next is for Barbara. The remarks is great work. And the question is, this is by Akanksha. The question is, given the importance of birth carcass information to address that vulnerable to collision, electrocution, could the carcass reports of be validated from fishermen observations or study design to maximize data collection? Since this is the most relevant data that's I can't see it. Yes, Abura.
Yes. Madam, please, can you read the question?
Given the importance of information to or data execution, could the reports be validated from fishermen observations or studies to maximize data collection?
Actually, this study duration was just for 6 months. So, I mean, because of that, only we mostly relied on secondary source of information. So, I mean, we surveyed, we interviewed more than 40 fishermen. So, I mean, most of them say that there is high collision rate during monsoon, and especially for the flamingos. So, I mean, with that, I mean, we came to a conclusion that there is a high chance of collision in that area.
And there is a study duration cannot be extended because they already started putting up the line. So there is no point in.
Okay. The next question is for Canada. The several rivers and rivers in Bhutan from the area and same for Arunachal Pradesh. The niche occupied by white-bellied heron in the river stream is hardly used by birds for foraging. Please highlight how other species compete with the white-bellied heron.
Little loud. There are technical studies that in Bhutan, these cormorants and black sharks, they are raping the fishes which are the big for the white-bellied heron. So even though that these white-bellied heron with both of the white-bellied heron completely undisturbed habitat, possible potentially is given by these birds like other species like black shark and that's what I mentioned. This bird might eat the prove to client that we are still working on whether this works also posing to
The next question for you is from Chinmaya, who says, variation due to abiotic factors. Did you consider solitary and spool-forming fishes separately for analysis? Generally, spool-forming fish data is not
since this is a preliminary study, we didn't get much data. We need more systematic sampling. Check that trend.
Here's another question for you. Why is it interesting that PA harbors more diversity? Do you expect otherwise? Interesting. What aspects of protectiveness are contributing to this increased diversity?
As far as my CPF is concerned, like you see that persons are body in the stream, and that persons also are very minimal compared to protected area. That's why it is very interesting to observe that more richness. They have that impact is like your Putidara and species that the extreme environment. So it's very interesting to know that outside the protected area this presence of these conservation important species.
When you said that it's interesting that they're higher within the protected area, that was a question. Why did you find it interesting? You would expect it, right? Higher in the protected area. So why did you say it is interesting? What aspects of protectiveness are contributing to this increased diversity?
For example, inside the protected area, the anthropogenic is a very minimum in terms of competition. So, inside protected area is much diversity than compared to outside area. So I feel it's very interesting to observe that these species are inside the protected area.
Okay. Okay, so the next question is from Mahindra. Does the survey data match with citizen science data sets, example eBird? Any potential of using such data sets for your research is by
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Yeah, eBird data, we've been following it. It's very interesting. We got a lot of potential roosting sites from the eBird data and even photographs from eBird data. Some new places. Yeah, it's potential. Yeah, no doubt. Thanks. Thanks for the question.
Next one is for Dr. Bharti by Akansha. So, if I can try and read it out. Could PVC or Bonox sensing end up trapping black buck individuals within crop fields? Any suggestions to provide escape ways, ramps? What additional mitigation measures would you suggest based on the population and age sex composition of the black buck? Would these something by districts with varying density numbers? Basically, the kind of fencing that you, I guess, suggested.
Yeah.
Can you please just repeat the question?
Would PVC or black buck individuals within crop fields? Any suggestions to provide safe ways or ramps? What additional mitigation measures would you suggest based on the population these numbers. Something that's all.
So as per my understanding, what I have picked from the question, so every mandal had a different population density. And earlier farmers were using galvanized fencing for safeguarding the farm. That is very expensive, not everybody can afford that. So a cheaper replacement is the bone-off fencing. So with the bone-off fencing and setting it up with a certain height, that can definitely help in mitigating the damage. But the only issue is a black bug may get trapped. But it will definitely deter the black bug from entering the farm from the next time onwards. Is that answer you? Does this answer your question?
It's another part to it. Any insights on how cropping patterns and mitigation measures implement led behavior in males?
So this study, according to, as per my knowledge, cropping patterns haven't affected the leg behavior so far. There are no substantial studies to prove that the leg behavior is getting affected by different cropping patterns in particular district and area.
Okay, there is another question for you. How would you carry out? What is that? Something transit something in the area. As you mentioned, these grassland patches were outside fields.
That is,
So,
that is
Vehicular
How will you vehicular transit surveys in the area? As you mentioned that these grassland patches were outside fields.
Like I mentioned in the earlier slide, the cropping pattern has totally changed. Now that particular area is dominated by agricultural land itself. So the rapid vehicle transit was conducted with the help of the roads, roughly carved roads as well as the metal roads. Those were the only roads that were used in conducting the vehicular transit service. We did not go inside the farm. It was just the using the Google Maps and seeing whichever suitable routes which were available to us. We use only those routes for doing the vehicular transit service for this study.
Okay. So another question for you by Maya. There's a comment saying nice CPT. And the question is, these black bars are living in a multiple landscape comprised of crop fields and grasslands and scrublands. According to you, what could be the possible impacts of fencing crop fields? Do you think some movement strategies can make the black bug vulnerable to predators like crop pests? How do you determine the fence height, 8 meters?
Yes.
Below.
Yes, I did mention about the HTPV fence. If it is substituted at a height of 8 feet, definitely it will prevent the movement of black bugs into the field. But if we are having fencing, it will definitely deter the route of black bugs in entering the farms. But feral dogs is yet another challenging issue for us to actually monitor that if they are causing high mortality in black bugs in that region or not. No yet study is available to state that if the black bug is being killed by feral dogs in that region so far. So I cannot say anything substantial about it yet.
So how did you determine the fence height, 8 meters? Something at below which is cut off, I cannot read the complete question.
So this height was decided on the basis of the height they can jump. So the maximum height the black dog can take a leap is around 6 feet. So we just took another extended height of 2 feet to make it 8 feet so that it is beyond their jumping height so that they cannot enter the farm.
The last question asks you about your comments on artificial population control mechanism for black bugs.
So this was another part of the project, but since I was given only 10 minutes, so the another substantial part of the study was proposing transportation mechanism and suggesting other ways such as chemical sterilization for the population. Since the population is growing in that region, so basically these two methods can help in controlling the population of black bugs in the area.
So there is one question for from Basra. It's a great presentation. Can you explain what?
Basically, to understand the habitat use and the activity pattern is also one of the aim. Ultimately, we have to say that how the habitat is used by these busters, so then spatial understanding of their use is very much required. Thus, the birds were followed until the meets or they go for roost.
The question for you which says the beta coefficient with metal roads is positive. What does it imply? Seems confined integers.
Positive means basically probably the chances of sighting is more, detection is more, or the network is more that activities, the land use and overused grasslands probably is more. If the forest area are paved, it is less road network. So,
Okay, so there are 3 more questions for you. Are you suggesting that the protected area
it is not a protected area. So you see, entire landscape is a cultivated area. It's a cultivated area. But here, at least kind of a grassland left is important. Small scrubland left with less disturbance. That's what is required. And even during the last meeting, even the representative were also there, and we had a long discussion that somewhere around at least 10 to 15 square kilometer of area need to be retained as a grassland with the less cultivation.
Okay, the other question is according to Dr. Datta's work on mosaic is better preferred by GIB. How do your results contrast or correlate to this work?
This study is of one small patch, and one particular patch that we have followed even at the landscape level that we have not really looked at it. That's what I have pointed out, that these populations have to be monitored at the landscape level. Then only we will be able to really answer this question. However, basically the patches which are less, people movement and cultivated area that is used by these birds.
Another question, are you suggesting grassland management in forested area?
Forested area means it is not it's a pure land basically, and if they are left, then there is a canoprophytes or many other vegetation, especially invasive species. If it takes over, it grows up to 4, 5, 6 feet. Well, during this period, since we have not observed these birds using those patches, after removing all those again vegetation, they have started again using these patches. That is very important. That we feel that maintaining of less than 3 feet or 2 feet grassland, 2 trees, probably 2 or 3 trees per hectare is a best patch probably for the cherries.
Okay, that's all it. I think those are all the questions I did do.
There's some questions questions and comments from seminar chairperson. First, Professor B.C. Chaudhary, sir.
Okay. Well, I enjoyed the presentations by the SACON group. There are not really questions. Maybe there are a bit of a question included in that, but mostly suggestions. Okay. Mostly suggestions. I think Ashish Kumar made 2 presentations. One was a collaborative study with Europe. I would be happy to see in the future the kind of a distributional map that can be provided for the country level based on the 2 studies that would be carried out. So I think it would be interesting to see how Europe and India can collaborate to
prepare the distributional map for the target species in India as well as in Europe. So it would be interesting to see, and that kind of a study might actually help the future researchers to learn from your work. Kishore Rao, you're assessing human peafowl conflict and developing an action plan. It's probably the first of its kind. There is not really many work on peafowls anywhere in the country, but peafowl, the national bird, is on the increase almost everywhere. I know a peafowl assessment was done by the Wildlife Institute of India long back. Satkumar is sitting here. We made a questionnaire survey sent to practically all protected areas and all to the chief wildlife and so on. But in Tamil Nadu, the peafowls are associated with the Murugan. And there are a lot of temples in Tamil Nadu, and therefore it is actually getting a religious protection as well. One of the suggestions I can make to you is to look at the land use, land cover mapping, particularly in the context of agricultural cropping pattern changing, and correlate that with the peafowl population increase. Whether a certain kind of a crop that is being changing is actually helping peafowl. They are probably changing the diet from a wild crop into more domesticated crop. So it would be useful for you to look into land cover change as far as the cropping pattern is concerned, at least for the last 15 to 20 years. That might give you a new insight into that. Coming to Subhadra Parikh's work, what is the prediction of future distribution of the gaur? You now say there has been the lanternas and other invasive species are impacting the gaur population distribution. You can probably, based on the current distribution patches of the gaur, you can possibly create a future map of occurrence of the gaur in 10 years from now. Okay, because the prey presence will also determine the presence of predators. It's a tiger reserve, so probably the large herbivore and its presence in the 10 years from now, what would be the predictive distribution patch, distribution model for gaur and thereby the predators? It would be an interesting thing for the managers, because the managers can probably plan for the future based on your work on the gaur and possibly the predator based on that. Builder David, your threat assessment, I think your presentation finally turned out to be more of a human wildlife conflict, whereas your title was basically assessing the anthropogenic threats. There was very little presentation on the kind of anthropogenic threats. So I think there's something which you need to look. It would be better to redirect your attention to the range of anthropogenic threats based on the human demographic profile of your study. So it would be interesting to look into that. Ashish Kumar, I have already talked about that. Bhavani Sabak, taxonomic and characterization of selected galliformes. I would suggest, Bhavani, it would be better for you to get in touch with the Central Zoo Authority. The Central Zoo Authority has got a database of galliformes in every single zoo. There are 245 zoos in the country, and they maintain a database of every single species which are kept in every single zoo. If you can have an access to the inventory of the CZA and also take a letter from the CZA member secretary, you will have access to almost all the Himalayan state zoos, and therefore you will have probably every single galliform that you can have access for the feathers. Particularly so, there are also private breeders. I know in Dehradun, close to Dehradun, there is a private breeder who has 17 different species of galliform. So it would be interesting for you to get in touch with the Central Zoo Authority. Hitesh Kumar, the decline of vultures has brought.
So can you please start from Bhavani's question because we could not hear from there.
Okay, it's not a question. I'm suggesting Bhavani.
Yeah.
I said in Delhi for his work. I suggest, if she can get it done with the central zoo authority and look into their database. They have an inventory of species in every zoo and they have database for 245 zoos. So you will have access to Galliformes in every single zoo with a letter from the Central Zoo Authority member secretary. And instead of depending only on one or two zoos, currently your work is mostly on the Darjeeling Zoo. At least all the Himalayan zoos you can access. Also in Dehradun, there is a private breeder who has 17 different species of Galliformes. It would be useful for you to get in touch with them. This will have wildlife forensic use and the ethnozoological study. Okay. So this will also increase your accessibility to all the Himalayan states, mainly Himachal, the state bird is the Galliformes, Uttarakhand, again the state bird, Jammu and Kashmir, West Bengal, Arunachal and Sikkim. You can have access to all these states with a letter from the Central Zoo Authority. Hitesh Kumar, the decline of vulture has brought in a new scavenger guild. And this is actually something which we have recorded with our work in which we were carried out on the Saras Strait. The feral dogs, I call them subsidized predators. The feral dogs have been a major predator on the chicks of Saras Strait. So they are becoming a major problem. But it's also interesting to see who are these scavenger guild which is taking over with the absence of the vultures. And with the scavenging dogs and the stray dogs population increasing, they are also going to be a major from the human health point of view, rabies and other such things. So that particular angle can also be projected, and this would probably expand your horizon to reach up to Indian Council of Medical Research to be becoming a possible supporter to your study. It would also be useful for you to get in touch with the Bombay Naturalistic Society because they are collecting from the carcasses tissue samples to trace the presence of diclofenac. In spite of the fact diclofenac has been banned, but still diclofenac use is there, and they are also collecting the tissue samples, and they would probably give you more information about the scavenger guild present in all the areas. In and around Dehradun, I was doing some work with the students. We have also recorded stray dog populations of as many as 200 stray dogs scavenging on the carcasses. Your work was in Haryana, so it is closer to that landscape, so it would be interesting to look into that area. Dhanusha, even in the on the Indian striplet distribution map, Maharashtra has always been not on the primary area. Most of the Indian striplet distribution map actually projects Kerala and further south of Maharashtra. Maybe your work was funded by the Mangrove Foundation, so you did your work in Maharashtra. But it would be useful for your work to be extended to further south, while giving insight into what could be done to take care of the Indian swiftblades in Maharashtra region, particularly Vagrula. Vagrula is now being considered to be a OECM. There are some 13 to 14 OECMs being proposed by the WWF India, and Vagrula rock is one of them. So it will be interesting to see what kind of suggestions you can give for the Vagrula. Babu Rao, the power line, it's a very small study, 6-month study, because the Tata Powers wanted to give them the information what kind of deflector can be used, and in the 6 months time period, whatever information you have given, it would probably be useful to ask them for an additional support for monitoring the work after they have placed the deflectors. That would probably help, but also you need to find out a mechanism to see whether the flamingos are actually falling a victim onto the power line or not. Because of the tidally, the creek is influenced by the tide, and many of the birds which are dying probably are not even present with the high tide. They are probably taken into different areas. Kevin D, white-bellied heron. I know of one person in Bhutan. He has probably done most of the work on white-bellied heron. But your work on the white-bellied heron was to find out whether the food waste of the white-bellied heron is intact or not. So therefore, you did a lot of sampling of presence or absence of the prey waste, the fish in this case. It would be interesting to see not just the prey waste, the fish diversity. It would also be interesting to see the kind of fishing practices that is being going on and how they are detrimental to the long-term survival of different diversity of the fish. But it would also be interesting for you to look into any publication which actually tells you what are the prey species on which the white-bellied heron is dependent on. Maybe that is not enough work, but it would be interesting to see the sighting of white-bellied heron is so few, you probably not even get a sample, a fecal sample to test or anything to sample. But it would be interesting to see any work that actually talks about the rapes. Okay, Mahindra. I know you are trying to find out the possible locations in Tamil Nadu from where you can possibly put a tag on the cormorants. But 1% of the breeding population of the cormorants in India are actually in Kerala, in Vembanad and Astamudi. These are the two Ramsar sites. I would ask you to explore the possibilities of not being dependent on all your eggs in one basket, Tamil Nadu. Maybe explore the possibilities of Kerala as a possible location where you can get a permission. One of the major problems of researchers is getting permissions. So it is always better to reach out to two or three different states rather than being dependent on just one state. That's one suggestion to Dr. Mahindra. Aditi, your Python work, I was very happy to see at least one of my publications being referred to, Bhatt and Chaudhary. That was one of our MSc dissertations long back in Kevalado, Ghana. And I also remember when you applied for this funding support, this proposal was sent to me for review. And I had suggested the Central Indian location to be given a greater focus than Kevalado, Ghana. And Kevalado, Ghana has been, enough study has been done thanks to late Dr. Bhupati. He has spent all his lifetime in studying the pythons. I was a little worried about your methodology of taking photographs of the blotch patterns based on the dorsal photographic methodology. You are putting a fence around, kind of forcing the pythons to go out from the fenced area in one direction. How is it going to change their burrow utilization if they are going in one direction? They tend to go in multiple directions. So I just wanted to caution you on that methodology, or maybe this is a temporary use methodology. So please have a look at that. Vidyadhar, anyway, you have always been a fisherman, and your work was mostly of the fish. And Moya is probably one of the hotspots for hillstream fishes. I remember my work in Moya on crocodilians in 1976 and 77. Most people were not even born then. But I remember about the fish diversity because we survived for a couple of months only catching fish from the hill stream fishes. So I will be looking at the hotspots of the hill stream fishes in Moya in future. Golding, your Golding pond in Navi Mumbai area, and particularly in the context of their importance for mangroves. I will probably be looking into that, the mangrove species diversity. and what kind of a restoration for these holding ponds in not just in Navi Mumbai area, but the Maharashtra government's plan for adopting the new methodology from Netherlands, what they are trying to adopt. So it will be interesting to see how you can restore those holding ponds. This is the United Nations Decade of Restoration. So it will be interesting to look into a new restoration method for the holding ponds based on your work. I can got this. Bharti, you can hear. Yeah, Bharti, you can hear me? Okay. Very nice. It also takes me back again to 1979, along with Krishna River, where actually the first time I encountered black bugs in undivided Andhra Pradesh. And in fact, one of the study area, which was given to Dr. L.N.S. Prasad, who did his PhD work in the areas you are now talking about. Okay, so it would be interesting if you can get in touch with Dr. L.N.S. Prasad. And it's also interesting, you did briefly mention about Ganja, the black bugs in Ganja. I just returned back from making a population assessment of black bugs in Ganja. The recent population assessment is 6,000 plus. But what is interesting for you to know, the people there are extremely tolerant. They say if the Krishna milk is in their area, it actually brings them prosperity. So they are extremely tolerant lot. So they are not worried about the crop loss that is happening. But going back to Andhra Pradesh, where I had counted only 19 to 20 individuals in 79, there are at least 3,000 to 5,000. And Karnataka case study again, So I think in overall, going back to Dr. Ranjit Singh's book on black bug and Dr. Ellen's PhD thesis and other works, it would be interesting to see what would be the population status of black bug in the peninsular India as such, and also northwestern India. Okay, is the black bug population are going beyond the expected range, and what would be the futuristic scenario? One of the suggestions you were giving, we are possibly looking into, even Kumara said, the possibility of black bug being shifted from one location to another location. You are shifting problem area from one problem area to another problem area. So the translocation is not necessarily an answer. So then this is something which I wanted you to look at on the recommendations on your scale. That's all I have for the suggestion for the second. It would have been interesting if we were listening to you people straight on the face-to-face. It would have given you an opportunity to interact with the students here, as well as the faculty. But this is the beginning only, and in future you will probably have better opportunities to interact and share your work. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we'll end the session here and the day for today. We'll meet tomorrow for the IARS as scheduled. Today's afternoon session will start tomorrow. So requesting all of you to be prepared and please give your introductions to your session facilitators and also ensure that your presentation is loaded here. Thank you. See you all tomorrow.